Welcome to Who Let Them Moms Out.
I like this
Okay,
one.
the delay on this audio is making it sound like we don't know the song and have no rhythm, but we actually are very good. I can't even say this with a straight face. All right.
We are
Thank you.
in the rhythm.
Yes, we are the rhythm. Welcome to another episode of Who Let the Moms Out, a podcast about motherhood and all things mom, all things conversations that should be had and aren't had often enough because we're always afraid of either being judged or doing the wrong thing or saying the wrong thing. And we want to just normalize all the conversations. We realize a lot of them sound probably crazy. And, we're not here to impart wisdom upon you or to teach you something or to steer you in the right direction. We're here to open up the floor so we can all talk freely and realize that it's okay to not know. It's okay to make mistakes. It's okay to have opinions and everything else in between. And so today, we are going to be talking about flying with babies. So a little bit of backstory, if you don't know much about us, my name is Marae, and this is
Paula.
And together we actually, so we met in a hotel partnership. We're both content creators online. We met in a hotel partnership in Greece in 2021. And after like one night of talking, we realized we had the same goals and we wanted to start an academy to teach parents how to travel. We had a lot of ideas of what we wanted to teach and where we wanted to go. But after talking to our audience a lot more, we realized that most people were afraid of the flight. So we realized that everybody was like, cool with envisioning themselves on a vacation with their kids. Everybody was definitely okay. Like, like people were like, yeah, I would love to be a content creator and get paid by hotels. I would love to work with tourism boards. I would love to take my kids traveling, but it's just that first flight with kids. So that's how the Travel Family Academt was born. And we created a whole business around helping parents travel more. It started with, teaching the whole first flight, because for even seasoned travelers, it's a very scary thing. Like I remember for myself, I have taken thousands of flights in my life. I've been traveling full time for at least 10 years.
There's nothing
and
like
even
that
so,
first flight, no.
Oh no, with a baby, it's literally just panic. And now we teach other things like how to make money online so you can travel more, et cetera, et cetera. So we're coming from a place of talking to a lot of mothers. We currently have, I think, about 50,000 people just on that business alone between our website and our Instagram. And so we talk to a lot of moms and hear a lot of their fears. So today we're just going to talk about flying with a baby. And this episode is going to be a little bit different. We're going to be asking each other questions. I'm going to let Paula start and ask me whatever the first question is.
I got my question. I am the person that has to write them down and read them because I've already forgotten what it was. But I know it's good, okay? Okay, so yeah, so that, like you feel anxious, right? Before a flight or something there, that takeoff or something, you feel anxious. But did you feel a different type of anxious when you were flying for the first time with Alaska?
Yeah, for sure. So like my main fear was that somehow she was going to pick up a disease on the flight and die. Because, if you listen to our previous episode, we are both extremely crazy with intrusive mom thoughts.
Intrusive thoughts, yeah.
Yeah, I need zero help with imagination when it comes to bad shit that is irrational, but that could happen. I swear to you, my toddler could be sleeping on her bed in our house, and I'm like, somebody broke through the window on the second floor, took her out.
Yeah, I don't need anyone reminding me of how crazy my thoughts are because they're already there. I'm already there.
If you ever need to write a script for a movie or something and you need an idea for something irrational, I'm your person. I'm your man. So I think so. Okay, for perspective though, the first flight I was going to take with my daughter was when she was 2 months old. And I was so anxious about this flight. It was a cross-country flight from Florida to LA. And then we were going to fly to Hawaii. And I was so straight up petrified of her getting a disease or something on that flight that we did a cross-country road trip with an infant that absolutely hated the car seat. So this turned into a whole week of literal misery. Looking back at the photos, we were doing a lot of work with hotels and stuff like that. It wasn't so bad. Like when I look back at that, I'm like, it was such a beautiful trip. But really, honestly, it was hell. I was breastfeeding. I remember many, many, many times sitting in the back seat in that middle seat with my boob plop over the
Oh,
side, like extra extended so it could fit in her mouth, like trying to feed her so she wouldn't cry. We stopped every half hour, every 15 minutes, every 45 minutes, every
that's
hour. Like, you
great.
know how they say, like every 2 hours we stopped. We never made it to 2 hours without stopping. We made our days extra short and it still took extra long, like 6 hour days turned into 12 hour days because we had to stop so many times. It was crazy, but all because I just kept thinking, I'm gonna board a flight with all these terms. This was COVID times, it's 2020. And I'm like, this child is only 2 months old. And I think what set me off was that I called the pediatrician um like a month before the trip or something like that. And I asked if I could move her appointment a week before so we could leave a week before. And he said no, because at this time it's very important that they like it had to be exactly on the 2 month mark, and it had to be like it was like a health thing. And I think that just like threw me off into this like loop of like worry of like, well, if they're so strict about the time, maybe her system is not so developed. And
Yeah.
like of course, as a COVID baby, she's been in my house. Like the most she's seen is the yard, with my mom that came to visit or something, like. And so I was just so entirely out of this world. And I'm not a person who gets that afraid that easily. Like I'm an anxious person, but I will do stuff that seems really crazy to other people just to see what happens. But I remember just being like, oh,
I
I
need to
just
know what's
can't.
happening.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like my curiosity is stronger than my anxiety. Like, like
It
I
wins.
have, I have done so many stupid shit in hindsight that I'm like, oh my God, what was I thinking? But it's just like, oh, let's see what happens. Like I hitchhiked through all of Mozambique and back into South Africa, like, in the back of people's truck, like, stuff that is just like, why, you know? But yeah, and I remember thinking, like if something happens to my baby, like, what do I do? And then like the healthcare system in the US is so backwards. So I was like, and then I don't have a doctor yet when I get to California, like, oh my God, like it was just, it was chaos. And I just preferred to do the road trip. So yeah, that was my thing.
Yes,
Yeah,
that's
that was
that is crazy. Yeah, I remember like that feeling when I first flight. Like we just taken off, and I was feeling so anxious, and I was like, I don't understand. Like, what's that? Why? Took me like a few minutes to like grasp the feeling why I was feeling like that, and I never forgot that feeling. It's like I'm prepared. I have no idea what the fuck's going on. I'm gonna die. Everybody's gonna die. I have so much to lose in this flight, and it's just like
I have so much to lose. Okay. All right. What is the dumbest thing you prepared for a flight that you didn't need and you thought you needed? Obviously a flight with a baby.
mm. Oh well, with the baby was like toys. I like the first. I think when he was like 4 months old the first flight, and I had like a bag full of toys. And
Yeah.
he slept the whole flight
Yeah. Same.
because he was 4 months old. I had like
Literally.
literally
Same.
like a full bag of toys. And then the next flight, which was like 2 months later, I also had a bag full of toys because I was like, yeah, he just fell asleep because it was lucky chance, right? So he bag full of toys. He slept anyway. And the one time he was awake, which was like 20 minutes, he played with like, the vomit bag.
Yeah. So I had the same thing. My her first flight, I think she was 3 months or something, 3.5, 4, something like that. Similar age range. And we were flying from California to Colorado. So it's not a very long flight. It's like a 2.5, 3 hour flight or something like that. And it was winter though. And I packed like the amount of toys I brought for that trip. It was like obviously like a tiny baby like this is playing with absolutely nothing on the plane. And if they do want to play, like they just look at the window or look at the people, anything is a toy. But a lot of parents, a lot of moms, as we know now,
Yeah,
this is one
we
of our biggest
panicked.
worries. Yeah.
Yeah, we
And it's
panicked
like, oh my
because
God,
it's
we need
like, what the
toys.
fuck
It's
are we
like,
gonna do? Yeah, and that's
yeah.
what everyone also tells you. Like, you need toys. You need all this entertainment.
Yes.
Entertain your
This is a
baby. And it turns
Montessori
out
toy. Ideal for a six
they
month
need
old. It's like
a spoon. A spoon. A spoon is more than enough, lady. Okay, next question. What was the like the biggest surprise you've had that you didn't know about flying with a baby? Like, was it a TSA rule, like a check-in thing, like travel gear, or what was it that you were like, oh my God, really? I can do that, or I
honestly,
can't do
the
this?
biggest thing for me, the biggest shock coming from the US was flying internationally and how much simpler it is to fly internationally as a family. So like when you're in the US, like if you're flying a budget airline or even with some airlines, you get almost no priority. Like security lines, unless you have TSA pre-check, no priority. The airport, nobody gives a shit. You could be there struggling with a baby on your head and 25 bags on top of you, and nobody gives a shit. In other countries, it's like they're like borderline carrying you to the gate with a baby.
Yeah.
And that for me was like, that was the most shocking thing because it's I come from Cuba. I come from a very, very, very underdeveloped country where really like there's nothing, there are no resources. And so living in the US, it's always been like my parents have drilled this in my head that it's like, oh yeah, first world
Yeah.
country and the best country, and this country has opportunity and blah blah blah. And so you think, okay, we have the best, and I've traveled to a lot of countries, and some of these countries are, they're underdeveloped and things are not as nice or the comfort is not there. But even those countries have better equipped rules and airports and flights and things for families. Like almost every other country I've been to with my child has had more child-friendly support than the US. And that for me was like, it made me want to move. Like it was, I remember, for example, like we were in Istanbul airport just briefly. It was like a 1 day thing, a layover. But he was like, oh, and the baby, and let me carry your bags. Like in Italy, I remember people on the subway would stop what they're doing and come
Oh
and
yes.
offer to carry.
Yeah.
Like the first time some stranger on the street offered to carry our bags, I thought they were gonna like take off with our bags. Like I was like, oh my gosh, like, and people were just like young people, like teenagers, like 24-year-olds, 18-year-olds, old people, everybody, like just people. And in the airports, you have like lanes for just families and the custom lines just for families. And no, 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 come out of here. And like the first time somebody took me out of a line to put me on a priority line, I was like, I was shocked. I was like, what did I do wrong? Like I thought they were taking me to immigration or something.
I was gonna say, like, oh, you look Cuban, come with me.
Yes, yes. Yo, let me see your passport. Yeah, so like that was the most shocking, I think, for me. How about
That's
you?
interesting. Yeah. It was the liquid rule. I never ever even heard about that. And like we got to security,
Mm.
but I was just breastfeeding, so I didn't even think of. I mean, I took my pump with me, but I didn't take milk. And the first like they come up to me and was like, "Oh yeah, do you have milk?" And I was like, "No, no," like already
Yeah.
like, "Oh no, no, we don't have any of that." And he was like, "Oh no, but you can." I was like, "Oh, really?" And he's like, "Yeah, yeah, you're allowed to bring more than 100 ml if it's baby milk and stuff like that." And I was like, why didn't I bring it? Not that I needed it anyway, but I was just all like,
Yeah.
oh, if I knew.
Now you just walk around with a carton of milk just in
Yeah,
case.
it was
Just
yeah,
because you can.
exactly. I can. But actually, the last time we flew in Manchester, they took his water away, even though he's allowed. So I
Yeah,
don't know.
that's one thing that I find really, we have a whole course teaching people how to do this. And it's fascinating because I always get the imposter syndrome of, do we not know enough? But it's because the rules are so different
The rules are so
everywhere.
different. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
so different. And it really varies on the agent you have, the mood they're in. Like you really have to know your rules and have them with you. And like really, if you want to fight for something, because it's insane. Like for example, the rule about how many bags you can bring. Like most
Oh, yeah.
airlines let you bring like you can bring a pumping bag, so a bag with your pump, a diaper bag, and a food bag. So that's 3 extra bags from
Yeah.
whatever allowance you already have. But of course, depending on the agent and all these things, like it all matters. And you can have somebody. And I think for most parents, it's like we just try to avoid the stress of having to like argue with someone while the baby's crying and like, okay, if you just take it,
Yeah.
just please, just I don't want to deal with it. You know what I mean? It's the stress of that.
Exactly.
It's
It's
like,
true. It is true.
all right,
That's why that's why it's so hard to like go travel with kids. Is because like you have an idea in your head of how things work, and then you go to a different airport or a different airline even, and you're just like, what? Like everything is different, upside down world. So it's just hard.
all right. Question for you: hardest flight you've had with your child who is now 3, and why? They could be any time from birth until now.
Well, the hardest one was last year, I think. And I was going to Madeira, so I was going home, and it was just 2 hour flight. But we got to the airport, and he had just woken up from his nap, And well, the airport, I don't know. I didn't do my research, I guess, and it was just like tiny and the worst airport ever. You have to like queue to do a check-in, and then you have to queue to drop your bag off, and then you have to queue to go for security. So it's just like, oh my God, I spent like literally the hours I was meant to be inside of the airport, I spent going for all of these things.
Is
And
this
then
Marseille?
obviously, yeah, of course.
Ugh,
And then I had
worst
to,
airport
Flynn
ever.
was in the stroller, had to be sat in the stroller. So I gave him the tablet and he was meant to be asleep by the time, we would go on the flight. But yeah, he didn't sleep. He was super energetic. He got all of the energy as soon as we arrived at the airplane. So he was like full on jumping up and down. I had to like, strain him to the seat when we had to have the seatbelt. And I was exhausted as well. I was like, so yeah.
It's
So
the
that was the
worst.
fun one.
It's the
Yeah.
worst when they're
Luckily,
like,
it wasn't like too busy though. The airplane wasn't too busy, so he wasn't like he could actually move around without having to worry about other people. So we were the only ones at the back. So I was at least that.
praise be. I've gotten really lucky with a lot of flights where like we always get like free seats or like, somewhat empty spaces.
Yeah.
But I'm afraid now that we're gonna be traveling with four, like we're, with the baby. So like that's gonna be
Now you need
interesting
an
as
extra row.
well because and you need to like sit separately because most planes have the two or the three seaters, not the four. So that's gonna be an interesting change.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to put two and two. Like two, one parent and one kid, one parent, one kid.
Yeah, I'll take the baby.
Each kid.
That's another thing. So another misconception is not a question, but it's a misconception that people have. Like most people think, it's harder to fly. Like we're always so afraid of the flying with a baby, which logically it's a brand new thing. You've never done it. Babies are more fragile, etc. And you're also more fragile. Like I think if you're a breastfeeding mom or just a postpartum mom, like, you're just less equipped mentally and physically to deal with bullshit. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
like anything can set you off, like you'll start crying, whatever, But I think in general, it's easier to handle a baby on a flight in an airport than a toddler because the baby will sleep through most of it. And even if they
Yeah.
cry, it's like a small baby cry. But like having a toddler throw a tantrum, like a non-negotiable tantrum, that is no joke.
Yeah.
And you can just put the boob in their mouth and hope they, like it's different.
Yeah, exactly. There's a lot more, like snacks to plan and actual toys that they need to play. Children.
That's another thing. The food, man, the food is a big deal. I was telling somebody about it, and we have a common friend who doesn't agree with snacks, and she believes that no snacks should be brought, and like it's like a snack military police. But for both of us, like we've encountered that. First of all, like I eat a lot when I'm flying. Like I love to snack when I'm flying,
Yeah.
and there's nothing worse than being on a flight and you want to buy some snacks and all they have is some crappy ass like sneakers or something. Like I'm not a fan of sneakers. I'm gonna get heat for this, but it's just
What?
I don't know. It's just to me, it's a subpar candy. It's not real. There's nothing real in it. It's a bunch of flavors mixed together. Why is there peanut and chocolate and carrot? It's just so much. Ugh. Anyway,
Oh
it's
yeah,
not a
you
good
are a
candy.
simple chocolate girl. Yeah, I remember that.
Yes, give me my chocolate on its own. I do like chocolate when it's like with sea salt or with like chilies or like something spicy. Like
Of course, also you're the weird one. Like you just went the
yeah,
whole spectrum.
yes, yes. Like recently, I just tried a chocolate that had chips, potato chips inside. It was delicious. Dark chocolate with potato chips,
Of
delicious.
course. You're like
You know?
the rich chocolate, not rich chocolate. The fancy chocolate. That you
Oh
get in the
yeah, like, give me
little
a good piece
fancy
of
chocolate
chocolate. None
places.
of that milk chocolate crap or white chocolate crap. That's not real chocolate. Did you not watch Willy Wonka?
True. I mean, those chocolates look good. The flying ones. I mean,
Oh
sorry,
yeah.
spoilers alert.
Okay, we are diverging into a topic
Yeah. Sorry, guys. That went
but
far.
what we wanted to say is that actually having snacks, we find having the right snacks very useful, and we always teach our students like prep the right snacks. The last thing you want is for your toddler to not want to eat whatever crappy food they have at the airport or airplane, and then you have a hungry,
Yeah.
oh my God, a hungry and cranky child. That's just like, but when you're breastfeeding, it's just
Or
a boob, and I find that so
yeah, exactly.
nice.
So easy. Or milk. Just like you just have that there. That's it. You don't
Okay,
have to think about
I'm really
variety and
spoiled. I have never in my life carried milk or formula. I've never had to do that, and I knock on wood every single day that it's the same for my next child, because breastfeeding can be really challenging, especially when they refuse to sleep without eating every 30 minutes. Yes. But having to carry
It's
all
just
these
so much.
bottles
Yeah.
to clean and sort, and that is just the worst for me
No,
anyway.
we did both.
Yeah. But
As
you're
in,
also a
like,
lot more
I took.
organized than I am with snacks and stuff. Like Paula's the kind of
Oh
mom
yeah.
that like packs everything in like its containers and she knows where it is. I just like shove everything in a bag and hope for the best, you know. I'm the kind of person that arrives with melted chocolate because like she forgot that I just found the bag of M&Ms that I had from the last time we went to the movies, and I had it in my bag, and I had left my bag in the car. I live in Hawaii, so you can imagine the state at which I found these M&Ms when I found them again. It's yeah. I
Ordeal.
Yeah, that's not where I win. I have other attributes. This is not it.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we would love to hear what your biggest fears about flying with a baby are. So
Yes, please.
come to Who Let the Moms Out That Pot on Instagram and let us know. Come chat with us, send us a DM, write it in a comment, and let us know. I think you could probably hear my daughter singing Frozen in the kitchen.
Yeah, we can. Yeah.
So, so we're gonna cut this short. We're gonna go ahead and end this episode right here. But yes, there you have it. So let us know. Come check us out at Who Let the Moms Out That Pod, and stay tuned for next week's episode.
Thank you for listening.
Bye.